How often do you use this when on tour?
This kit?
Yeah.
Every show. We always come back here and go over some songs and just practice songs and stuff. Sometimes we'll go over new riffs because we're getting ready to do a new record. So yeah, it comes in handy. We bring it everywhere with us, and it's just good to loosen up before a show, you know, if nothing else. So yeah.
So you're really working on actual songs on tour?
Yeah, well, between rehearsing for the set we're about to play on stage, and sometimes lately, actually, we've been going over some new possible riffs for the record or stuff like that. It just depends on the day. Yesterday we were going over some songs on the Peace Sells record just for fun, and just depend whatever we want to do. It's just good to play and get loose before a show. Everybody played. My family, my father, my older brother Brian, and Glenn were all guitar players, and of course I could have done that too, but for whatever reason, I just gravitated more towards drums. Actually, the reason was Rush. I mean, when I first heard Rush, that's really got me into drums. I love the band so much, but I really loved Neil's drumming. I thought, wow, I couldn't believe somebody could, you know, I was only maybe 11, 12 years old at the time. So it was a big influence on me, and that made me choose drums over guitar, really. Plus, that way I could be in a band with Glenn. If we were both guitar players, it's kind of hard we just play guitar. So it was more, you know, that's kind of the way I was thinking too. It's like, well, if I play drums, you know, we could start a little band, and that's exactly what happened.
Is it still in Canada? When you start playing rock music, do you need to go through Rush records and listen to them?
It should be a law. I think it should be a law. No, you know what? It's funny. I mean, I liked everything, you know, Deep Purple, so much English, European music growing up and all that stuff. It's, I don't know, my first band, rock band that I really liked was Queen. So when I first started getting into rock music, and then Kiss and all. There's so many bands, Boston, Fleetwood Mac, sure, tons of stuff. And but when I heard Rush, that was the second rock band I heard was Rush. That just kind of changed from just being a listener to wanting to actually be a musician. That was, you know, they're responsible for that. But they just so happen to be Canadian. They could be from Egypt. It wouldn't have mattered to me. It just, you know, I don't even know if I knew they were Canadian at the time. I mean, I was just a kid. I probably did, but now it should be a law. Yeah, I think if you're in Canada and want to be a rock musician, you have to listen to Rush. Yeah.
The way you joined Megadeth, you really showed balls. Put it that way. But come on, what was the truth? You know, you got 3 days to prepare.
The truth was, well, Glenn, of course, got the gig. He had the gig for, I'd say, at least a month. And I just got back from Sweden recording drums for a record that we did, Glenn and I did. So I was calling Glenn from Sweden pretty much every day, just because I was so excited that he got the Megadeth gig. You know, I just couldn't believe it, and you know, just asking how are things going and all that stuff. And when I got back home, I went back to work, unfortunately. And I just remember coming home on a Friday afternoon, and he said, you know, you better sit down. I said, what's the matter? And they said, well, they want you in the next plane. You know, and I knew the tour started in 6 days because I was, you know, like I said, even when I got back, I called him every day, just talking to him, see how things are going and stuff. So it was a big shock, and so I jumped on a plane about 12 hours later, and I was in Arizona going over the songs. So the good news was I knew all the old songs right up to about Countdown to Extinction. I could fudge my way through them. You know, I knew them 90% in my head. The problem was I didn't know anything off The System Has Failed, which had just come out, and some stuff from the 90s, the mid to late 90s. I kind of lost touch with Megadeth during that time. So that's what I did. I kind of learned, instead of listening to the songs I did know, I listened to all the stuff I didn't know, and really, you know, constantly went over these songs. So when the 6th day came, we played a show. Right up to half an hour before we went on stage, I still had my little Walkman on and listening to, you know. So it was a challenge, but it was, looking back now, that's exactly how I would want it to happen.
So you couldn't really enjoy the first show?
No, God, not enjoy it. I mean, of course I enjoyed it, but I was so focused on not, you know, remembering those parts, and, you know, it was just, it wasn't just like going up after rehearsing for 3 months and just, you know, throwing down and having a great time. It wasn't like that. It was just a very focused atmosphere for me. But again, I wouldn't have wanted it any other way.
You were also a main person in bringing Mr. Ellefson back into the band. Mm-hmm. I think, do you think it was really important that somebody like you, who didn't know whatever happened in the past, in detail?
Well, the short version of that is there was going to be a member change. There was going to be a base member change. And when I received that information, in my mind, there was no other choice except to get David back. Now, the problem was convincing David and Dave to agree to that. It wasn't just me. I mean, it was also Dave's guitar tech, Willie G. We're all in the studio at the time getting ready to rehearse for the Rust in Peace tour. And all this happens, it just happened. And it's like, it's like, well, let's find a bass player. And it's like, well, in my mind, like, no, we can't find a bass player. It doesn't, the fans wouldn't like it. You know what I mean? Because they, already really love James and, just the legacy of this band. It's just, to me, it's like, if we're going to make a change with this Rust in Peace, all these things, it's just weird how all the planets aligned for all this thing. And like I said, in my mind, there was no other choice. So Willie had David's information, and I said, text him. And then the next, I said, tell him I'm going to call him. So I called him. I said, dude, if you want, and of course I know David. We've met several times over the years and stuff. And I said, look, man, if you're ever thinking about coming back to this situation, let me know, because this has to happen. We've got a situation here, and this needs to happen like today, not like next week, or it happened so fast. It's funny looking back now how it went down, but it's just, again, it's almost the repeat situation of when I got into the band, right? Oh, they want you to be, oh, by the way, the tour starts in 6 days. So it's like, and they're just like, yeah, I'm like, so I'm, again, I'm freaking out trying to make this happen and convince the both of them after all the stuff that had gone down, in the past. But for me, it's like, because I wasn't a part of that, I was like, don't worry about all that crap. That's all in the past. We can't change the past. And let's, and they first, really, should we, So, the next thing David was in a car driving from Arizona, and the next day, I think it was the next day, and he plugged in, and we started rehearsing right there. And it was, over the course of that weekend, they talked it out. We all kind of talked, and they certainly had some discussions and stuff privately and whatever they wanted to talk about. And here we are.
You became a grandfather.
Yeah. Yeah.
The same birthday, right?
Yeah.
5th of May.
Cinco de Mayo, yeah.
Yeah, Cinco de Mayo.
Yeah.
So you're going to celebrate like kind of Mexican party with your grandson?
Well, without the drinking, yeah. He's a little too young to drink. No, yeah, of course I'm sure we'll do something that's fun and stuff. And I'm excited for him. And I'm not excited for me to have another birthday. I am for him, though. I'm not that old, though. Everybody, it's Shawn from MEGADETH. You're watching MULATSCHAG, the only TV that you need.
MULATSCHAG!